Welcome, friends. Welcome back to the kitchen. This morning at the grocery store, chicken was on sale. Chicken thighs. So I bought a bunch of chicken thighs and froze half of them, and we'll use them somewhere down the line. And I pulled some bacon out of the freezer, and I've just chopped it up. I'm going to stick it into this pan, and we're going to start to render out that fat. I'm not worried that the pan isn't hot enough yet. It's okay that it didn't sizzle. It's going to take a while. I'm going to say that bacon is fried about halfway, so I'm going to throw in a sliced onion at this point and just fry that onion with the bacon. To me, onions and bacon are a killer combination. So, I guess I never said what we're making. I don't know what we're making. I don't know what to call this. This is chicken, bacon, onions, mushrooms, peppers, rotel, and then we're going to serve it over top of grits. Hominy grits. I don't know that it has a name. If you know what this is and it has a name, please let me know down in the comments section below. This is something that I had somewhere. Don't remember where. And it's stuck in the back of my brain as something that I've always wanted to make. And today I had everything in the fridge or the cupboard to make it, and I thought, let's go. Let's do it. And I'm not really following a recipe. I'm just sort of going by what I think it was. So, I'm going to take the bacon and the onions out and put them in this bowl. Hang on to them for a moment. I'm going to leave the fat in the pan on that heat, and in goes the chicken. So these are chicken thighs that I've taken the skin off and the bone out, obviously, and then cut them into kind of bite-sized pieces. Let's give a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. And we just sort of want to fry them to get a little bit of color on the outside. We're not going to cook them all the way through just yet. Now the chicken's getting some good color, and it's picking up some of that fond on the bottom. It is deglazing the pan just on its own as it cooks. If you need a little more fat or oil in the pan after you take this out and the chicken soaks it up as you're moving along, just add a little bit. If there's too much, pour it out. If you don't have any bacon fat hanging around, and I've always got a jar of bacon fat hanging around, if you've got that, use it. If you don't, just use an oil. Whatever oil you use in your kitchen for pan frying. Add and subtract oil along the way as you see fit based on what you're doing. And one of the things that often drives me nuts when I see written recipes is they tell you that you're going to use 1 tablespoon of oil to fry like this much stuff. And it's never enough. And when I was working pretty much all the time doing these videos for companies that put out cookbooks and recipes for corporations, the recipe was often dictated by the nutritional information that they wanted to give for the recipe. They wanted to call it healthy, so they cut out the amount of fat. Everybody in the room knew that you couldn't actually cook what you were cooking with that amount of fat. The recipe developer, the chef, the people behind the scenes that ran the magazines or the corporate kitchens, they all knew that it was a lie. But they wanted to be able to put in that little box of nutritional information how much fat was in the recipe. Everybody knew that somewhere along the line, people making it were going to have to add more fat. Okay, so I think I've got good color, and I'm going to pull that chicken out, and we're just going to sit it aside with the bacon and the onions. Put the pot back on the heat. I think there's enough in the bottom of that pan. In go some sliced mushrooms. And we're going to saute these mushrooms until they lose quite a bit of their moisture. Maybe a little bit of salt and pepper at this juncture as well. Mushrooms are looking good. So next in this bowl, I've got a chopped yellow pepper and a chopped hot banana pepper. No significance to my choice of peppers other than that's what I had in the fridge. If I had a green bell pepper or a red bell pepper or an orange bell pepper, I would have used that because I had it in the fridge. Same with the hot pepper. Any hot pepper would do, I think. I just remember that there was a little bit of sweet pepper and a little bit of hot pepper. I don't think it really matters. It comes down to your taste. So in those go and we're just going to get rid of some of the moisture. I think that's looking pretty good. Certainly smells fantastic. So at this point, it's just a matter of putting everything into the pan. So back in goes the chicken, bacon, onion, and all of the drippings. This is a can of Rotel. I'm going to put in about a half a cup of chicken stock. A little more salt. A little more pepper. And there was a smoked component to this. Might have been a smoked paprika. I've got some smoked chipotle powder. And I'm going to put in maybe just a teaspoon and a half. And so I'll stir all of this together and I'll let it simmer until it thickens up a little bit. So I'm going to make hominy grits for this chicken stew type thing to go on top of. Grits aren't a mainline item here at grocery stores where I live. You have to really search for them. Sometimes you'll find the Bob's Red Mill grits in the nature section of the grocery store here. Not very often. So I usually pick up grits when I go to the States, which means I never get the same bag of grits twice or box of grits twice. And every time I get them, the instructions are all over the map on how to make them. So follow the bag instructions for where you live. That would be a great thing to do. I'm going to put cheese in my grits. You could make polenta. You could put this probably over mashed potatoes, over rice. You could just have it in a bowl. And now that I've said to follow the package directions, I'm not. I'm going to use half milk, half chicken stock. And so I'll just bring this up to a simmer. And while I wait for it to come to a simmer, I will add in some salt. Okay, the milk is coming up to a simmer, so in go the grits. And I'm going to stir and simmer this for about 5 minutes. Okay, that's looking pretty good, about the right thickness. Next in, some grated cheddar cheese. I'll just stir that in. Okay, I think we are ready to serve. So, some grits on the plate. And of course, cook the grits to the consistency that you like. Some people like them really thick. I kind of like them a little bit loose like this. And we'll get a little bit of the chicken on the plate as well. Look at that.
Hey, Glenn. Hey, friends.
Would you like your chicken and grits in one pile or beside pile?
What do you think, Glenn?
You want it in one pile.
Oh, yeah. You want a spoon? A spoon or a fork?
I think it's a spoon. Okay, so Julie likes her stuff piled on top. I like my stuff piled beside.
All separate.
There you go. Chicken and grits.
Thank you.
Even though I end up putting a little bit of both on my spoon.
I'm going to try the grits first. Cheesy grits. It's a lot of different flavors. I don't know which ones to scoop. There's bacon. And chicken and peppers.
So,
oh, that's really comforting.
yeah. So I had this.
I was not expecting it to be comfort food, but there you go.
It is. It is very comforting. So I had this, and the whole time I'm making it, there's a dish that we used to make fairly often. You can find it. I'll try and remember to link to it below because we did a video on it. And it was chicken breasts cooked over top of a bed of peppers and tomatoes in the oven. I haven't had that in a long time. This reminds me of that, except it's made completely differently, but the same sort of flavor structure.
Reminds me, but it's completely different.
It's got the same sort of flavor structure, but it's not, it's like, you know, cheese and buttermilk are both made from dairy, so they're kind of the same, but they're completely different.
All right, then.
It is very comforting. It is very good. You can play with the flavors a little bit, mix and match some of the things that are in here. If you don't have Rotel, a lot of people ask me what Rotel is because they live in non-Rotel countries.
Which we did for a long time.
Which we did for a long time. We'd have to, bootleg it across the border. Rotel is not a Japanese hi-fi manufacturer. It is a Japanese hi-fi manufacturer, but in this context, it's not. It's just roasted tomatoes with peppers chopped up.
It's just a flavored stewed tomato that's flavored more with jalapenos and...
A can of those Hatch chilies, those green Hatch chilies in this would be amazing. Chicken and grits. If you've got a better name for it, let us know. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.
When's that gone?